Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon, or good early evening. It's nearly, it's nearly 6:30 on Wednesday, 29th of July, and we're back on Dartmoor again. We did manage to get back. I kind of worked it out that the one that we did at the beginning of July was kind of like sort of June's, and then we'll kind of like call this one July. So hopefully I'll get out again later in August, and then we're kind of like back on track, and I'll be on the one a month. I can't do it more than once a month, but yeah, this time I managed to work it out. So again, this is going to be a camp, hopefully over 3 nights. There should be some fun and games, less watches. Hooray, I hear you all say. Less watches. Probably will be some watches, but certainly less. But it won't stay less. There'll be more in the future. I've brought. I'm going to do like a separate sub video on various things. But I've brought the Hilleberg Namaj 3 GT today, and there is a reason for bringing that. It's kind of like going to be a fun reason, I think and hope. And also, hopefully, if it works out, we're going to cook some sausages. So, given that I've still got a little bit of time before the sun goes down, I got here a little bit earlier than I was fearing I might do. I think I'm going to pitch the tent first. Okay, well, this is the Namaj 3 GT, and this is what we're going to pitch. Right, the first thing we need to do is to make sure, Lassie, leave that, Lassie. A cow had done its business right where I wanted to pitch, so I had to shift it out the way. We will time how long this takes to pitch. We better add a few minutes because obviously we started already. One other thing that I learnt from the pitching video: with most tents you pitch the tail into the wind. Although the wind is actually coming more in this direction than this direction, but with this it doesn't matter, it's not that windy. But with the Namaj 3 GT, I have learnt since that video, in fact it's a comment on that video, that it's better to pitch this tent with the front into the wind, in other words the porch into the wind, and then the back is less likely to press in onto your sleeping bag. Just one tip there. And it took 18 minutes, but then I started the timer just after I'd emptied it out, as it were. So it was about 20 minutes. About 20 minutes. It took maybe a couple of minutes longer because one of the lines was twisted, and that took, maybe a minute or something like that. And that's about it. I brought the huge pack. Lass's big bag, and then I've laid everything out. I've seen so many, well, I haven't really seen any, but I've seen people doing sausages and things like that, and I don't know if anyone's ever done sausages with a non-stick MEFS cooker. So that's what we're going to try and do. I've just finished doing and I think Lassie has just enjoyed partaking in it as well. We've just done a video cooking sausages, bacon, potato and baked beans. And it was very, very enjoyable. Link above, if I remember. Link above. Okay, well, I'm going to tidy up because all of that made a little bit of a mess. 10 to 9, that breeze has died down. Died down now. I finished filming and eating outside. I've put everything, I've basically just chucked everything. I've got to sort it all out now, but I basically just sort of chucked everything in here. Just a pile of stuff there. I didn't bring the Nemesis 3 GT as a storage. Well, actually, I did bring it for a storage area, as you'll find out soon. But I didn't actually bring it specifically for a storage area. But I have to say, the vestibule in it is like the Super Mid and like the Trailstar. You know, the extra space, you know, really is very, very welcome. So I'm going to clamber in, blow up the airbed and settle down, you know, for the evening. So I will see you tomorrow, and I will wish you all a very good night. Well, good morning. It's say good morning, it's more like good lunchtime really. It's 20 to 12. I watched a couple of films last night until I think it was about 11 o'clock. I had a couple of cup of soups at about 10:30 and tea. Obviously my dinner yesterday was enough for sausages, bacon and everything, so I didn't need anything else. But I was felt a tiny bit peckish, so I did have a couple of cup of soups. I'm just going to start getting breakfast ready, which is what this is here. So I'm just going to turn off here. Okay, well, I'm going to carry on stirring this while I talk a minute, so that's okay. Alright, so yeah, so I went to bed at about 11 o'clock last night. Woke up this morning around about 7:30, 8 o'clock, something around about there. Had another tea, still felt tired, went back to sleep. Actually fell asleep again, thankfully, and then woke up woke up at 11 o'clock again. So I haven't been awake very long, and I probably needed that extra sleep again. So I'm kind of like sort of coming to at the moment. So I'm going to have a bit of a tidy up this morning. I'm going to have breakfast, I've had a tea. I'm going to have a tidy up, or a comparative tidy up. Alright, so I've turned the cooker off. Yeah, one of the things I just want to tidy up is this little corner here. It's not much, but basically I've got some litter here I just want to tidy up. It's when we're at home, you've got to wash the floor or the bath or something like that, or you're told to do whatever. Out here, you know, we've just got little things like, you know, we've just got to clear away a tiny bit of litter here and here, and then I want to put that cooker away there. I've finished with that. That cooker was literally just for yesterday, so that can be, you know, that can be put away. I set the dog tap up, as you probably saw yesterday, for like as a bit of a windbreak, because it was quite windy. I don't know if it made any difference, but I have noticed that this newer camera, this Sony Alpha 6400, the wind was more of a problem than on the Alpha A7 or whatever it was, the full frame version I had. So I was just a bit disappointed with that, but I don't know whether it's something to do with the mic more than the camera, because I noticed the mic, the high pass thing on the mic was set to normal rather than low, or was set to low rather than normal. So I've switched that to the other settings, so we'll kind of sort of see whether that helped. But I also set up the dog tap, as I say, yesterday. I might have another play around with that today, because if it stays like really hot like this, or it's not exactly roasting hot, but it is a sunny, bright sunny day, so I could set that up again later on. One as a windbreak if needed, and two would give Lassie particularly a bit of shelter. But having said that, there's plenty of shade in here. One good thing with an Namos 3 GT, it just does provide shade. It's obviously quite warm in here, but I'm pretty sure it must be a fraction cooler in here than outside. The two walls, you know, that you get between must act as a bit of a cooling thing, plus the door open and vents front and back. So I have to say it feels comfortable in here. I do think if you were inside one of the MLD shelters, you probably would be. I'm sure you would be a lot warmer in that than in this with the sun out. So that's just an interesting thing. But then again, you're much more likely to want to carry an MLD shelter of just a few 100 grams than you are at 4 kilograms of this. But still, this is going to have its own video later on. Hopefully, if things work out, well. So I need to get working on that. Plus, tomorrow the weather looks quite good as well, although changing tomorrow evening. So we've got time. Again, I just want to relax, chill out, and do, you know, sweet F8, to be honest. But the first thing to do is have a bit of a tidy up in have a bit of a tidy up in here. Lassie's trying to catch flies, and you've caught me just about to have some lunch. It's just coming up to 2 o'clock, and I've brought some Stilton with me, some bread, and obviously my tea stuff there, and I'm going to put some power back into the camera. It's on about 78%, so still plenty there, but when I'm not using it, it's probably worth putting power in, because sometimes I end up using it a bit and then the power suddenly disappears. Obviously I've set the Namos 3 GT back up again. That's like my sort of just like home base, as it were, just to chuck everything in for ease and convenience. Over there, that's the poncho and the bivvy, which I'll be filming as part of my Versus video later on. I just want to have a rest and eat for a minute first. And then there I've just got some other, you know, a couple of bits, trousers and a few other bits just to whip into the tent later on. So, but for now I'm just going to chill out and relax, put some sun cream on, have something to eat, watch a bit of a film and unwind for a little bit. Whether I might go for a walk later, but if I go for a walk it'll just be a very short walk. I've really got quite lazy from walking, but yeah, I'm just enjoying just relaxing here and doing, messing around and doing nothing really at the moment. In my Versus video I go through this setup in quite a bit of detail, but I'll just briefly and in detail go through it again for this video, just in case some people won't watch one or may not watch the other. So this is my setup for tonight. So I've put these types of connectors on this corner, the bottom corner, far corner and that corner. Oh, plus one here. Oh, and plus one down there. Now that is a little bit of an unknown. I don't know how secure those are because they're not mountaineering style fixtures, but hopefully strong enough. And then obviously from here it's running over my walking pole, and then down to a strong, I must admit, using a Hilleberg peg there, down to a strong peg there, the same over there. I would actually prefer longer lines to have more of an angle, but I don't have longer lines for this shelter. That's maybe something for the future, because obviously a longer line would give you more security, you know, from the angle for holding it in place. And then I've put the MLD Superlight bivvy in there. I have pegged it down.
It's just typical. I put the camera on Lassie and she starts scratching. Well, she woke me up because she was thirsty, so I've just given her a drink, because we're not quite close enough to the river here for her to comfortably sort of get down there herself. Well, I'm going to go back to sleep again, and I've just put the kettle on for a small drink, because it's only 7 o'clock in the morning, and I think I put the light out, but I think I fell asleep at about 11 o'clock. I think I woke up at some point for the little boy's room. Look at this. Let's see, go back. Let's see. It was a beautiful night. I slept right through. As I say, I woke up for the, just as have a peek. Let's see, go back, go on. Go back, go on. But other than that, I just slept right through, and it wasn't cold. I got cool at one point, and I think I just did the zip up on the bug bivvy thing. I didn't even do the bivvy up completely last night, but at one point I did do it up because it was a little bit cool. But it was a cool night, but not cold. As I say, I just did the bivvy up just to give an extra half of a degree of warmth. Wind. So, alright, if Leslie woke me up for some water, so I've put water out for her. Then I'm gonna have a tea. I think I'm gonna close my eyes again for a few minutes. Although I slept, as I say, right the way through from 11 o'clock to 7, so it's 8 hours. But I'll close my eyes again and see if I can get some more sleep. I'm not in any rush to do anything.
I've done a few versus videos, or a few versus edits comparing or competing the Poncho with the Namaj 3 GT. You will have to watch the other video for the competition result. Of course, you know the Namaj 3 GT is going to put up a stern fight. It's not going to go down quite as quick as the Titanic. I think it's going to be a bit of a bloodbath for the poor Hilleberg. Well, this is our, the other side of this water is our usual camping spot, but it's not big enough for the Namaj 3 GT. It's big enough for a tarp, of course, but not the Namaj 3 GT. So I've just come down here for water. I've put the GoPro, I've not used that in a long time, but I put the GoPro on Lassie. She filmed a bit coming through here, but I'm not quite sure if it's still filming or not. But I've got water in those water bottles down there, so just carry that back to camp. Go on then, have a swim. Go on then, have a swim. Go on then. Go on then. Go on then. Good girl, have a swim. For here. Okay, well, carrying on from 7:30 this morning, it's now 9:15. I had one tea earlier, I think I did. Yeah, I did. I had a tea at that time. And I put my head down again for a little bit longer, so I've had a couple more hours. I didn't fall asleep, but just resting. Lassie is playing. I've put a neutral density filter on my lens because I noticed that in very bright sun the exposure was getting overexposed. It was on f/22 and flashing, meaning that it was too high, and on video you need to be running at 1/50th of a second shutter speed for video. So I've put a neutral density filter on. I did it yesterday, the first time ever, so I don't know if it makes much of a difference. Only when the sun's out, which isn't that often here, which is probably why it's taken me so long to really sort of think about it or get around to it. But I have done that. Some Chinese thing, I don't know, that's the wrapper it came in. It's just something on Amazon. It wasn't very expensive. I don't think it's got any viruses on it. China virus. The wind has actually done a 180. The wind is now blowing directly in this direction. If you look at the shelter, which you may just be able to see, you can see it's starting to blow that way a little bit, not so much, but so actually we've got even more headroom. So I ought to do another addition to my versus video, so I've got even more headroom because the wind is blowing the shelter to make more room. I've checked the forecast, and from what I can tell, and I still haven't really quite decided where I'm going to sleep, whether I sleep in here tonight or go back into the Hillybug. I really want to sleep here. I must admit, this is just so much nicer. You know, again, the Hillybug is a fantastic tent. You know, it really is. But this is more convenient. I prefer that I can have things to my side here. This for me is much more convenient. When things are at the head up there, it's really not, for me anyway, not convenient. Because I think I've said in a previous Hillybug Namaj 3 GT, when I want to cook, I've got to sort of turn around like this and then sort of cook up here, and it's just not very comfortable. So, you know, you'd think that it would be fairly easy, but for me, I don't know if it's just I'm cack-handed or what, but for me it's really not that convenient. Whereas I prefer the shelters like the MOT ones, and I'm sure there are others too. You know, when I can put stuff here and I can sort of, you know, for me this is a very convenient cooking place. If I can put my things here to cook, then,
you know, I have to say it's very, very convenient, like that. Also, you know, it's just, you know, this is where I'm sleeping, and you know, that's my view. I mean, this is the best view of any of my shelters. This beats any super mid, duo mid, shelter, you know, any shelter. This just knocks them all sideways for view, and I mean, it just gives you such a warm feeling and a warm smile. But obviously, very clearly, if the weather's not so good, then you know there are limitations to this, which brings you back to the weather. Now, from what I can tell, and I've taken the weather for Yestor, and for, which is some way north, from Harford, which is some way over there. It looks like there's going to be sunshine, blue sky, sunshine until 1 or 2 o'clock this afternoon. The wind's already, the weather did say the wind would do a 180 at lunchtime, but I think it's already done the 180. So very clearly the minimum I'm going to have to, if I stay in this shelter, is to take it down and then have it angled the other way. This shelter goes both ways. Have it angled, you know, in the other direction, because the wind is coming this way. Now again, if the wind didn't stay very strong, let's see, go back. If the wind didn't stay very strong, then really it wouldn't really matter so much. But I think the wind might pick up. The biggest problem is there is rain forecast, a little rain, I don't know about overnight, but tomorrow morning at about 6 or 7 o'clock there is rain forecast in the morning, and I'll hopefully be asleep. And then there's more rain forecast at about 9 o'clock, something like that, and 10 o'clock, which is about when I'll be thinking about getting up and packing. So given that it's the last day, I might still just take a chance on this shelter. And I'm also thinking, to heck with it, if it rains, the Hillybug's going to get wet, and it's heavy enough as it is. And as I actually don't need to use it, as I can get away with this, I'm sure. I don't think I'm going to die if it rained. So I think I'll probably almost certainly brave this. So then I can collapse the Hillybug down, you know, later today, pack it away, and then it's not going to get, it won't get soaked, and it'll be easier to, less hassle drying it out at home. It's going to be easier drying this out than it is the Hillybug. So I think that's kind of, at this moment in time, made up my mind. Unless the weather forecast change, and it looks like it's going to be heavy rain or something like that, then that might change things, because at the moment it's just showing light rain, and I don't want to get soaked at 6 o'clock in the morning for the sake of it, and then having to just pack up and go. I want to be able to relax here for the morning at least. So we're still slightly up in the air, but it is looking like I might very well stick with this shelter and just switch it around. There's a lot of flies, but then there's a lot of cow muck as well. Let's see, go back. There's a lot of cow muck as well. Oh, and I did say in the video yesterday, the Hillybug would potentially give more shade and that. Well, actually, I must say, this is giving, okay, the way the sun is, it's still catching me here a bit, but I will say it is quite shady under here. It has cast a shadow, which you can see there. So that's Lassie knocking my cooking pot. So it does give shade. I must admit, it does give shade here. Like I said, it's not just the shelter that needs to be switched around. The bed will have to be switched around as well, because I like to lie on my right hand side, so I can't just switch the shelter around and then when I move my body that side. I can't sit up like this comfortably. It's very uncomfortable, so the bed's got to move, everything will have to be 180'd. Alright, well, I'm gonna give Lassie some food. I don't think she's had plenty of food. There's still some over there, I think. Anyway, I'm gonna give Lassie some attention and I'll catch up a bit more later on with breakfast time, I think. Right, well, it's just coming up to 12 o'clock, and as you can tell, it's typical for Dartmoor. The breeze has picked up somewhat. The weather has changed slightly, not massively. I've collapsed the Hilleberg, so just to save a bit of weight tomorrow, I'm going to take the Hilleberg back to the car. It's about an hour walk. It's a bit less than an hour walk, to be honest. Yeah, so I'm going to take the Hilleberg back to the car and come back here, and then when I go back tomorrow, it's a bit less weight to carry and it's less I've got to pack away. There is mist coming in tonight, and I can't help but feel that if I leave the Hilleberg out, it's just going to get, coated in mist. It's going to get wet extra. It's already heavy enough as it is. So I was already thinking of collapsing it. If I'm going to collapse it, I'm not going to be putting it up again in any hurry. I may as well take it back. So what we've got here is a brand new form of stealth camping. That's very stealthy. I will say I was going to leave it pitched, but a small shower came over, and with that small shower it started, because obviously the wind's coming in this direction. I've not changed the tarp around yet. Rain was starting to get in, so I didn't want that. So I just dropped it completely and then pegged a couple of bits down, and then I won't. So when I go back to car, Lassie doesn't need to take her pack, so I can leave that there. I've weighted water on it and things like that. So, and I shouldn't be too long. I'll be about 2.5 hours before I get back. So like I said, it's coming up to 2. So I should be back before, well really, if it's, it's coming up to 12. So I should be back by 2:30 really. Then that still gives me the afternoon just to play around here. I was just a little teeny weeny bit concerned about the cows over there. I don't want them coming over this way and tramping on camp, but they are all the way over there. So on that hill over there, so they look quite settled over there. I don't think they're going to come in this direction, so I think this is all secure. I'm leaving quite a lot of stuff here, obviously very valuable stuff I'll carry with me, but I'm leaving my sleeping system here, my cooking stuff here, I'm leaving my charger here and my tablet here. There's nothing private on my tablet, I just use it for shows. Yeah, and that's it. So like I said, I'm gonna just take this back to the car. I might have a quick tea in the car because I've got a small kettle in the car, and then I'll come straight back. I've got a waterproof in the pack. Rain is not forecast, so I will say I hope it doesn't rain, because I've not got waterproof trousers and my kilt is somewhere under this lot. So I hope it doesn't rain, but if it does, it's not the end of the world. It's not exactly winter. Alright, so I'm gonna head on in a minute, and I'll catch you probably when I get back here later. Okay, well, I'm back at camp. So I was just under the 2.5 hours, and I'm going to switch camp around. Now, I was going to do that as one video, but I'm actually going to do it as a separate
video because someone did ask about how to pitch the poncho, so I'm going to do that as a separate video, and I'll link that if I remember up above here. Well, I'll give you a second good morning as I'm feeling very generous today. As you can see, quite a change in the weather, and at the moment the weather is coming from the southwest. I've checked the forecast, and at about 11 o'clock, which is just over an hour, for Yes Tor, which I have to say is at the other end of the moor, so it's not really that close. But the weather we had here last night also featured on the Yes Tor weather forecast. Says for northwest rain, which is coming in this way. So if that does happen, we're kind of partly protected because we're like facing, or the rear is northwest. But so I might be having to make a mad dash later on. I'm not sure. I saw one person walk across there about half an hour or so ago. But we're still here. Like I said, this is clearly, you know, the next morning. I didn't duck home or anything. So my hat got wet because I left it the other side of the whatchamacallit. I've still got my sail up, so we're ready to go sailing. And we did very well. If you need to use the little boy's room, well, like I said, you've got plenty of grass in front of you. You can just sort of, you know, scoot forward and just, I'm not quite sure how the ladies would manage, to be honest, but you know, it's relatively straightforward for the men just to sort of kneel on you know, and then well, yes, aim somewhere. not in your pot, of course. So yes, us men do get a bit of an advantage there. I don't know what how ladies manage. Okay, well, let's see. Actually, I'm going to put some food down for Lassie, I think, because she needs some food. Okay, well, I've had one tea. So I'm going to have another tea and get breakfast going. I think breakfast is the next thing to do. Well, one advantage of a framed pack is, of course, you can put stuff in it, like your night clothes and lots of other bits, without having to put your airbed in. Because with the frameless pack, you need to put your airbed in first to act as the back frame. So that means I can put some things in the pack and still sit here and relax while some stuff's in the pack. I don't know if that's much of an advantage or not really. Anyway, I think I'm going to have one more tea and then we'll get this unpacked. The weather's supposed to stay quite pleasant now, but as I've got in the habit of saying goodbye in camp, I think this is as good a place as any to, you know, to say goodbye. I did a packing video last time of packing things away, so this is not really much different. So I won't do another unpacking video or another packing video today. You're not going to really gain too much from it. I will just show you what I did here. So this was the kilt, and I have to say it's very, very useful. So I pegged it down in that corner there, and then it fitted exactly with a loop thing here. Another loop thing up here caught it quite nicely. Absolutely perfect sizing, just good to. And then I used this one here to a peg down there. I did get out of bed for that, although I did it, you know, before it was really bad weather, and then another one down there just to tide that one off down there, and that did a very, very good job of keeping most of the weather out last night. There was some rain during the night, but there was no problem at all. And you can see the back is still very well secured. As I say, I wouldn't bring a shelter like this, so often unless I knew the weather was going to be fairly good. But I have to say, given the weather last night, it did do. I did surprisingly well. I must admit, it did surprisingly well as a lean-to with a few, modifications. I say with a pack at the back and then my sail at the front. So just by bringing a few other bits and bobs, it actually did surprisingly well, and it was surprisingly comfy. So yeah, I was very impressed with that. Anyway, as I say, I think I'm gonna sign off for now. I'm gonna have another tea and then just slowly pack away and then head back, and then I will see you all later. Hopefully there's no more lockdowns. I will see you all later in August sometime or other. Thanks for watching. If you got this far, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, hit that notification button. Even if you don't share, it doesn't matter, but that notification button is important, because otherwise you don't get notified. And then it's more of a luck as to whether you happen to see these videos or not, because I've had 2 or 3 people, or was it 1? Anyway, I've had someone say that they didn't realise I was still posting videos. And obviously, apart from the 3 months when we were locked down, I've been posting videos continuously for a very, very long time. And my interpretation of the comment that I saw is that he hadn't seen videos for a long time, not just 3 months. And it might just be that YouTube just aren't notifying people of my videos. I don't get the views that I used to get, so I think YouTube tends to sort of notify people and update people on videos that get a lot more views. So like I said, don't forget to hit that notification button. And even if you get bored halfway through one of my videos, rather than turning it off, just leave it running, go and make a cup of tea, and then by the time you made your cup of tea, I might have said one more sentence. And if more people can watch a bit more of my videos through the length of them, then more people might get notified by YouTube as well. That's just a few points there. I know people probably get bored after 5 minutes. Anyway, I'm going to disappear and I will catch you all. I'm still looking around wondering if someone's looking at me. It's silly, isn't it? Anyway, I'm going to disappear and I will catch you all again next month. So you've got plenty of videos, no watch videos this month. I did want to do one, but the weather turned yesterday and it just wasn't so nice. So I'll try and do something for the one person who's interested in watches, maybe next month. Anyway, I'll catch you all again very soon, and thanks for watching. Goodbye. You know how one of those Marvel film finishes, and you get that bonus bit at the end? Well, this is like that bonus bit at the end. So we're just packing up, and I just realised something. I don't know how the hell I got everything here all in one go, but I did. In Lass's pack, which now is almost empty, I had, plenty of food for her. I put some pegs in there, just a bit less weight for me to carry. Poor dog. But I put pegs in there, that was all, which doesn't really take up much space, just a bit of weight. The dog tarp went in there, and I will say the poncho went in there as well. So Lassie did carry the dog tarp and the poncho, but as you can see, the poncho is no size at all anyway, nor any weight. But what my point is that I won't really be putting much, if anything, in Lass's pack now, because there's nothing really for her to take back. And I was packing my bag away, and I put the camera bag in the bag as well, because I wasn't planning on doing any more filming. Now I will say the front pocket, which does hold, quite a bit. Obviously the tarp and the Superlight bivvy will be swallowed up in the front. The pads, foam pads, go on the sides, and then obviously there's just a couple of bottles and that's it. My point is this. Okay, it's a little bit of a mess because I just had to take the camera bag out, but how did the Hilleberg Nemours 3 GT fit in there? The conclusion is this: the Nemours 3 GT must be a lot smaller than it appears, because I got no idea how on earth I ever packed this pack to come here. I could only think that when I was at home, I sort of packed very carefully and packed everything down very small as best as I could, and yeah, it got in there. But I'm packing it now and I'm nearly filling this bag up. And I'm thinking, well, I haven't got anything here. It's crazy, really. Anyway, that's your bonus footage. I'll just quickly walk you around here as I've got the camera out still. You've seen it all. It stood up, remarkably well. I'm gonna so I mean, it stood up really well. It stood up very, very well to the weather. Alright, that's the end of your bonus footage. You can carry on with your cup of tea now. Thanks, bye bye.